Job every Sunday, and I was reading today, and the last couple of days, in chapters 6 and 7. But going back to chapter 3, it shows the depth of the valley that Job was in when someone opens up and curses his day. In verse 3, in chapter 3, he says, "Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived." Now that starts out chapter 3. That shows you where he is. I hit chapter 4. This is the beginning of the three friends speaking back to him, and this is Eliphaz, and like I said, I hit this Sunday, and he hits it with exactly where carnal religion hits. Remember, there's no sympathy in the law. You break the law, and you are punished. And the answer of Eliphaz to Job's chapter 3. Remember, these are answers. This is Eliphaz answering Job in the 3rd chapter, in the 4th and 5th chapter. And he starts it off. "Remember, whoever perished being innocent," you aren't innocent, Job. "You have broke the law, so you are getting what you deserve. You do the things of God, and He will bless you." That's the foundation of worldly doctrine and worldly religion. The children of God have been brought under the covenant of grace, which is unmerited favor. But these three have not been brought under the covenant of grace. And that's how he starts. "Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, and where were the righteous cut off?" Now, if you go to chapter 8, and I hit these two verses, it's exactly how Bildad, I believe it's Bildad starts in the exact same vein of thought, the exact same doctrine. In chapter 8, verse 4 through 7. And he continues in that same that vein of thought, and you can read it. But I want to look at Job's answer. Job answering Eliphaz in chapter 6 and 7. This won't be verse by verse, but it'll be close. "But Job answered in chapter 6 and said, Oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together." You don't understand my grief, and worldly religion does not understand it. They know. They say, "I know I'm saved. I know because I know because I know." That song that was sung Sunday, 283 in the Gadsby, "'Tis a point I long to know. Oft it causes anxious thought. Am I his or am I not?" Worldly religion cannot sing that song. There's no understanding. That's what's happening here with Job from his three friends who are basing their view off of through worldly doctrine. And Job starts it off, "All that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together. For now it would be," now here in verse 3 and 4, I'm going to try and slow down here. "For now it would be heavier." What would be heavier in verse 3? His grief and his calamity. He's saying, my grief and calamity would be heavier than the sand of the sea, Therefore my words are swallowed up. They're not being heard. Now, he very easily could be, I think he's speaking to Eliphaz here, but he could also be laying that if God knew my calamity, because he does feel forsaken. For the arrows, because then in verse 4, where does he go to? For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. It's taking my spirit away. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. This is from God. And you don't understand it. And then, like I said, he says, my grief and calamity, they're heavier than the sand of the sea. And they're swallowed up. They're vanished. They're gone. They're not being heard, is what he means in chapter 3. Verse 3. Verse 5. Doth the wild ass bray when he hath grass? Or loweth the ox over his fodder? No. They are content because they have what they desire. That's what verse 5 means. Verse 6, can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch, as my sorrowful meat. He's looking back to verse 6. Oh, now here we go. Verse 8. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for. Verse 8 in chapter 6 is looking back to chapter 3. Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. So verse 8 of chapter 6 is looking back to chapter 3. Oh, that I might have my request. That was his request. Even that it would please God to destroy me. Turn me loose, God. Destroy me. Finish me. Death is better than this. That he would let loose his hand and cut me off. The depths and the depths right now of this valley is far deeper than worldly religion can grasp. But when they view someone in these depths, then because of their doctrine, they go to, you have sinned, and that's why God has brought this upon you. Then, if he would be granted, in verse 8 and 9, if he would be granted that, then verse 10 says, then should I yet have comfort. If God would grant me that, then I would have comfort. Yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? What's he saying in verse 11? I have no strength in myself. And what does a true child of God say? We have no strength within ourselves. Nothing in my hand I bring is what is said by a child of God. And what is mine end? What is mine end? That I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones? Or this is verse 12 in chapter 6. Is my strength the strength of stones? Or is my flesh of brass? No. He knows. Job knows. I'm made of dust. I'm made of dust. We have no strength in ourselves, is what he was saying. But the doctrine that Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar are setting forth is all you have to do is this. But Job is saying here, is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? He's saying, no, I'm dust. I can't do what you're telling me to do. I ain't gonna make it through this. It's just, there's a lot. Is not my help in me, and is wisdom driven quite from me? Now, in that right there, verse 13, he's asking for pity. God has took this wisdom away from me, but yet the Spirit of God is with him, because what he is saying here is coming from the Spirit of God. To him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend. For he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. In verse 14, he's speaking of his three friends. But they have no true fear of God, because they have enough strength within themselves to do what worldly doctrine tells them to do. But the true fear of God is back here where he says, is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? No, I'm dust. I have no strength within myself. That is the true fear of God right there. That right there. That is the faith of Jesus and in the finished work of him. And if you walk in righteousness, you walk in his righteousness and his righteousness alone. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, as the stream of brooks that pass away. Now what is he meaning by verse 15 here? Water, it comes and it goes. It's there and then it's gone. But notice in verse 15, brook in the first is in the singular, and as the stream of brooks, they pass away. Then it goes to the plural. Now you go over to Proverbs once again. Where's that at? 14:12, and you will see, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man. Way is in the singular, but the end thereof are the ways of death in the plural. And what is it here? My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the streams, they pass away. This is carnal knowledge, and it passes away. He said that over, I think it's in chapter 12, I believe it is, and I think I hit that Sunday, where he says, no doubt that you are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. That's what he means there. Where's it at? I just lost it. Oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. That's what he means. In that right there, the streams, and which are, now verse 16, chapter 6, which are blackish by reason of the ice. Now what does that mean? The reasoning is not clear. It's not just. It's not coming by the Spirit of God. He's talking about the three friends and their doctrine. It's like it's blackish ice. Wherein the snow is hid, there is no true wisdom there. What time they wax warm, it seems. Now this right here, verse 17. What time they wax warm, it seems right It seems correct. But then what does he say at then? What time they wax warm? Carnal wisdom seems correct. It seems right. They vanish. It's empty. It goes away. There's no wisdom in it. When it is hot, they are consumed out of their place. It seems correct, and it consumes you, and it will take you out of the way. Paul over in Galatians 3. Oh, Galatians, who hath bewitched you? That's what's being said in verse 17. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. And what is that? Verse 18, that's the spirit of error. That's what that is. And what does it say? I'm going to read it again. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. It is the spirit of error. It's vain. It's empty words. Peter called it the traditions of the fathers. I didn't look up this 19 and 20, the Tema and Sheba. I didn't go into that. Now you go down to 22. Now did I say? I didn't ask for you. Did I say, bring unto me, or give a reward for me of your substance? Was I asking anything of you? No, he was not. Or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the mighty. He knows they are not able to give him anything. Worldly doctrine and worldly religion offers you nothing. It's vain. It's empty. And like I just said, it's the traditions of the Father. You are not redeemed with corruptible things, such as silver and gold. But the only way is the precious blood. That's what he's saying. Deliver me. Or did I say... Or did I say, teach me and I will hold my tongue, or cause me to understand wherein I have erred? How forcible are right words, but what doth your arguing reprove? In verse 25. You are not convincing me because it's coming from the wrong way. It's like water. It's there and then it vanishes. It's empty words, is what he's saying. Yea, this right here in verse 27, yea, you overwhelm the fatherless, and you dig a pit for your friend. And what is he meaning right there? There's no pity. There's no pity. There's no empathy. There's no compassion. Because they are still under Moses' law. They're still under that, and there's no mercy. There's no compassion in that law. But under this covenant of grace, there is compassion. There is mercy, because it's unmerited favor. They have not been brought to the point where they have not been brought from under that covenant of law under the covenant of grace to see the faith of Jesus is being shown. He dotted every I. He crossed every T. He finished the work for his children that we could not do for ourselves. I think I'll stop there. There's 2 or 3 more verses. I wanted to make it through chapter 7. but I'll go over here once again and read. Just for a second. I want to look at Bildad's answer once again. How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind? I've said it 1,000 times about certain people. They're windy enough to blow up an onion sack. Well, that's what Bildad is saying. Your words are empty, Job, but they're not. They're not empty. They're the truth. And he's refuting carnal doctrine and carnal religion, because then, I want to look at this one more time. It's Bildad's answer. If thy children have sinned against him, and he hath cast them away for their transgression, our God does not cast his children away. He does not. He absolutely does not. It's the love of God. And that's exactly what he is saying. If thou wouldest seek unto God and make thy supplications to the Almighty, if thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee and make the habitation of thy righteousness prosperous. That is nothing but works right there. That is Armenian religion, and that is the answer that Bildad is handing to Job. And that's the exact same answer that Eliphaz handed to him, and it's the exact same answer that Zophar handed to him. There is no compassion in Armenian works, and they can't understand it. I went longer than I meant to. I'm sorry. Thank you.